All right, cool. Welcome back to the Such Is Life podcast. I am here with a guest who I feel like has a lot of story to tell, and a lot of women, a lot of mothers could learn from her, more importantly. So that is probably the main reason why I've got her on here. If you could do me the honors of introducing yourself, please.
I'm Chantelle.
And how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, so what do you currently do?
I'm a full-time mother.
Full-time mother?
And carer.
And carer.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So before we get into that, because that's going to be a massive body of this conversation, and like I said, remember, this is just me getting to know your story. So forget the cameras there, forget the microphones are even here. I know it's a bit hard, but still.
Good, you don't know. The inner modeling is trying to be like...
Yeah, so taking it back to early days for you, let's say around secondary school, what was life like for you? Like, what was your routine and how did that look? Like, was that, how was your upbringing almost? That's the best, that's the most straightforward way to say it.
You don't want to know what I was doing at school. I was brought up by my mum. Okay. And I lived with my little sister and her. For a portion of my childhood, we also lived with like grandparents, aunts, uncles. Like my whole family lived together.
All in Brum?
Yeah. All in Birmingham. But yeah. And
did you have, so within your childhood, what would you say were high points, like memorable, good memorable points?
Do you know what? My childhood is blurred out.
Oh, really?
I don't remember a lot of it. I think I pushed a lot of it out. I probably only remember like secondary school onwards. Anything before then, it's just like...
Yeah, a bit of a blur.
I remember what my primary school looked like, but I don't actually remember being there.
Okay. Yeah. Which secondary school did you go?
I went to St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Technology College.
And where's that? What area is that in?
It's in Aldridge. So...
Oh, okay. That makes sense as to why I don't know it. So I was just getting up the questions. Okay, cool. So one thing I want to tap into, because it's going to link in together, to be fair, is how do I word this question? So your mom was a single mom. Mm-hmm. And what did you see of that? Like,
so to be fair, I only saw her single, like in my childhood, from the age of 5 for a few years. Yeah. Because then she met my sister's dad. And then my sister was born when I was 10. I can't remember how long they were together. But he was around for a while. And I think it wasn't until like my teens that she was single again. Okay,
and did you see like a lot of graft from her in that sense?
A lot of what?
Graft, like a lot of...
Yeah, she was such a hard worker. She was always at work.
Yeah.
Long shifts. But then I think when I was 16, I started working with her.
Oh, swear? Yeah. Where was she working?
She was working at House of Fraser.
No way.
I don't want to say she got me my job there, but I applied for a job there and just so happened to get it.
It's who you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, but in terms of how was she balancing that and family life from your perspective?
Obviously, from what I remember, my sister was like a toddler.
Yeah.
But I think that responsibility was held by like the rest of the family as well.
Okay, got you.
So
we
all used to just help out, like picking up from nursery and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think she was home at like most weekends. I think she works. It was just, it's retail.
During the week, yeah. Of course, it's like long hours during the week, isn't it?
Yeah. Can't quite remember, to be honest. But yeah, she worked really hard, bless her.
Okay, cool. And in terms of what, I want to jump straight into that because I'm still thinking about that question, and I do want to know why the hell you don't have a Birmingham accent. So you said you were shipped off.
Yeah, so this, like, my primary school was in Streetley, and
Yeah, Streetley.
When you're at primary school, you go to like the secondary school that everyone goes to, don't
you? Yeah,
That
of course.
Happened to be in Aldridge.
Yeah.
I think we'd originally lived in Erdington.
I swear.
And obviously, like, things happened in my childhood that we had to move away from.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to school in Aldridge. But it's a really posh Catholic school, and I say posh because now that
in comparison to what you were around.
When I left that school, I was gobsmacked at what people were actually like.
Yeah.
Like, the first time I stepped foot in Handsworth, I couldn't, no joking, I couldn't believe it. No, they were all like, everyone from that school had good families, good family structures, and
So you see experiencing that so that was secondary school.
Yeah.
Did you feel different in a sense?
I think there was maybe like 3 or 4 black people.
I swear. Was that tough?
No. Obviously, like, I've spoken about this before. When we have all these conversations on the internet about, like...
Yeah.
Racism and all that, I think when you're actually going through it at school, like, I saw it as... When I look back, I do think you shouldn't have said that. Yeah,
of course. Yeah. In hindsight. Yeah.
But then, when you actually are around the white community and you get their humour... I took it as humour because I was a part of that community as well. Like, I'd give it back just as much as I took it. I wasn't offended.
I get that because similar to me, I went to school in a predominantly white area, predominantly white school, probably about 3-4 people of ethnic backgrounds. But there was almost like a general, I don't know, like, okay, you can banter with me about this and I can banter this about this with you kind of thing. And it's like, no one takes offense.
But that's the thing. I grew up with, obviously I'm mixed race.
I
grew up mostly with my white family.
I swear.
So it's like, I understood
more,
that humour. And it's like, some people, I just think the world needs to stop taking everything so offensively.
So now I get it because I think, you know what, I'll tell you after. I'll tell you after. Okay, cool. So what was the first, so after House of Fraser, I want to fill the gap between House of Fraser and when you got to modelling. So you can just obviously if you can briefly skip.
So I had no intentions of modelling.
Okay.
But I think when I was 18, I met my daughter's dad.
Yeah.
And he was a DJ.
Yeah.
So he was doing his...
Wait, before we get to the modelling.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So he was doing his thing.
Okay.
One of his friends called me and we was having a conversation. And he said to me, I was working at House of Fraser at the time, he was like, Shan, you can't be going out with him and working there.
Yeah.
To go and do something.
Okay.
Like, so you're on his level.
Yeah.
And me, 18-year-old, was like, why am I not enough?
Yeah.
And, Just Jones, shout out Jamal. He hit me up and was like, do you want to do a shoot? And he did my first photo shoot for me.
I swear.
The rest was history.
It went from there.
Yeah.
So then how did you go from, because I saw that you went from modelling into doing video modelling as well.
Yeah.
So how did that transition come about?
I think...
Like how did the two worlds meet basically?
What was my first music video? Oh, okay, so one of my friends, can't remember how I met him, he was like, Shan, he had his own studio and he's like, I need to do like a music video.
Yeah.
Whoever, I see you do modelling, do you want to come and just shoot with us?
Yeah.
So that was my first experience of music videos. And from then I was like, oh my God, this is so easy. And just stand in the back looking pretty.
Yeah.
Easy money. And I think we just started taking bookings from there and got involved with like agencies. And
How does that work? So is it a thing where once you've sort of been in one big music video, a lot of people sort of behind the scenes, they're like trying to figure out who is that? Or is it just purely your agency just get you the work?
No. So usually with the agencies, they'll have a job.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then if you're interested in that job, all the girls will apply for it.
Got you.
But I was working with like several agencies because it's like with music videos, it's not that serious.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I used to do it that way, and it gets a bit techie sometimes because the more videos you do, the better your face becomes. Some people are like, I don't want a girl that's
who's been in every video. Yeah.
So I was really selective.
I used to be like that. I can't lie.
Yeah. I used to be really selective.
Yeah.
I'd avoid London like the plague.
Of course.
Because I feel like it's the London people everyone sees all the
time.
Yeah. But I did videos elsewhere and it was enough.
What would you say was your best experience music video, just out of curiosity?
Entertainment wise
or to like combined?
I think probably two.
Okay.
So
you can say both.
Yeah. So what was the song called? That H video, Party Around My Place.
Yeah.
That whole day was just so fun because we literally just had a pool party. And
it looked fun, to be fair, from what I saw of. I think I'm pretty sure he done a BTS video of that or something.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that looked lit. The vibe was lit.
But the girls, they were all so nice.
Okay, yeah.
And I stayed in contact with some of them because we had like different agencies. So that he had like the proper model girls.
Yeah.
And there was me and this other girl that we knew each other from Birmingham, and we went and did it together. And then the Simba video.
Okay. Yeah.
That was fun just because obviously we was in Marbella.
Yeah.
Getting driven around in Ferraris.
Yeah.
And they like gave us this big mansion and we just had a vibe.
The mansion to stay in?
Yeah. They paid for everything, flights, all of it.
Okay, so that's interesting because it's like, as much as they're paying you X amount, but around it they're spending a lot more, aren't they?
Well, they have to because we flew out to work for them, so they have to cover everything.
Yeah, of course. I get it.
But this is where the problem comes in with that type of modelling because there's a lot of people now that don't want to spend, but they want us to cut our fees down, and it's just like, if you can't afford it, don't do it.
Yeah. Would you say you would have I'm curious, would you say that within that industry, did you experience a lot of entitlement from like men?
Artists.
Even artists or just, what's it called?
Not so much artists. I think I've only had...
Or artist friends.
Yeah, the friends.
Yeah.
Get them away from me. I feel like if you're an artist and you're shooting a music video, keep it professional, keep your friends out. Because your friends, a lot of their friends have no manners. They'll be there, they want to chat to the girls, do you want to drink? They're just there drinking up, like, keep it professional. Like, it's actually embarrassing. I think when you're a model as well and you go to a shoot and you see an artist that's just got all these boys around drinking, I'm not going to take you seriously.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
And it's like, why should I do my best at working when this is the environment you're bringing me around?
It's true. And I get that, to be fair.
No.
So within doing your music modeling, from doing music modeling, what did you then go into after that?
Motherhood. Yeah.
Straight after. Okay, cool. So
that was my job.
That was your job.
Yeah.
What modeling?
Yeah.
Full time. Okay, that's it. So you had a lot of free time outside of times where you're shooting, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I was doing like 4 or 5 shoots a week.
4 or 5 shoots a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just purely in areas everywhere but London.
Yeah, I did go to London here and there.
Oh, here and there, yeah.
The pay, I wouldn't go for less than a certain amount, but...
Yeah, that's a lot of travelling for you as well, though, isn't it?
It was, but I didn't have anything else to do at the time.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
It
was all covered. It was fine.
So, we've got here sooner than I wanted to, but it's cool. Motherhood.
Yeah.
How... I'm interested in how that went for you, like the journey from just before. Can I say name?
Yeah.
Yeah? You sure?
Yeah.
All right, just before Kiani was born, and at the time, so just before she was born, when she was born, and like post, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So just before I actually got pregnant, I was living life on holiday in Morocco.
Oh, okay.
Drinking tequila all day. And then a month later, I got pregnant.
Life comes at you fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Pregnancy wasn't planned.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Yeah.
And here we are. Yeah. Pregnancy was a weird time.
Oh, can you go into that?
Yeah. I mean, the first few weeks and what were normal, as any woman would, but I think my 20-week scan was when we found out
that there's complications.
Yeah, that there was something wrong with her.
And what did they say to you at that point?
So I went to the scan on my own, and 20-week scan is when they're looking at all the organs,
development.
Making sure everything's developing. And she was just scanning me, but she was going over the heart for a really long time. And I could tell something. She was just a bit like, humming to herself. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I was just like, keep it cool, Shan.
Yeah.
It wasn't until she sent me for a walk that I was like, something's wrong. And
but during the scan, she said...
Yeah, she sent me for a walk. She was like, can you just go walk for a half an hour?
Okay.
Just to, I think in that time she must have been talking to like the doctors.
Yeah. Obviously getting a second opinion and all that. Yeah.
And I called my daughter's dad, and I was like, something's not right.
Yeah.
And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, she's just sent me for a walk. Like she was just hesitant.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you know what, Shan, go back in. Like, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think at the time, like, his car was getting fixed. And
Okay.
he didn't come. And I was just like, it had to be me being here on my own.
Yeah.
And then I went back in. I can't remember the exact conversation we had with her. And she was just like, we can't see certain things in her heart that we need to see.
Yeah.
I'm referring you to fetal medicine. And she's like, you're not going to be able to come back here for your scans. You're going to have to go to a specialist hospital. And I think I waited 3 weeks for that appointment.
Yeah.
So I had 3 weeks thinking, like, what's wrong with my baby?
Yeah, of course. And a lot of anxiety would have been building up during that time as well. Because you just want to know.
Yeah. So I then went to fetal medicine, which I think is just like specialist sort of doctors.
Yeah.
Something that's wrong with your baby. And at that time, it was just about her heart that I knew something was wrong with.
Yeah.
Got to fetal medicine. She was just like, yeah, like you're missing certain things with the heart. We're going to have to refer you. Actually, no. Oh, no. She was like, we're going to have to refer you to another hospital.
Okay.
And she was like, your daughter's also missing. She's got partially absent left arm.
Okay.
And in my mind, I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, like I went home, I looked at all my scan pictures that I'd had previously.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, look, you can see her arms.
Yeah.
But no, one of them, she was always hiding.
I swear.
And she literally had half of her left arm.
And they were never able to pick up on that I'm assuming the QE
so
or
I was
something.
23 weeks pregnant when they told me that. But yeah, then I got referred to the women's hospital after that, which is when I was introduced to the doctors who were the heart specialists and who have been a part of our journey up until now.
Oh, really?
So I think with the women's and the children's, it's all like interconnected, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I had that first conversation with them. I think my mum must have came with me. And they just told me, the reality of the situation, which was your child's got this pulmonary atresia.
With VT, is it with
VSD?
VSD.
Yeah, which is the hole. So pulmonary atresia is the absence of her pulmonary artery.
Okay.
VSD.
Is that one of the 4 chambers?
It's the artery that connects to your lungs.
Oh, to your lungs. Okay, cool, yeah.
So, obviously, with a heart, you have oxygenated blood, and hers just wasn't going to be functioning. She didn't have that artery.
Yeah.
And then she had the hole in the ventricles as well, which is the chambers. The VSD is the ventricles, so the 2 bottom chambers. She has a big hole in the bottom of it, which means that all that blood, oxygenated and deoxygenated, is mixing.
Fucking hell.
And they were just like, if she is born and survives the birth, she's going to need immediate surgery.
Yeah.
And her, how do I word it? They just basically said her future is a big question mark. And they were like, they gave me the option. Bearing in mind, I was
24, 25.
Yeah, I would have been around 25 weeks, maybe. Yeah. They still gave me the option.
Of termination?
Yeah, they were like, we don't, but because your child's severely unwell, it's still an option.
Fuck.
And I remember just going home and just absolutely sobbing. And they were like, we'll give you, you can have a week or 2 just to think about it. I made the decision not to do that, obviously, because I was just, at that point, your baby's moving around in you.
You built an attachment.
I'm already attached. I'm there like, hey, little girl.
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't really an option for me. I know my daughter's dad had the opinion of, I don't want to bring a sick child into this world.
Yeah.
But I had to make that decision for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that's heavy. So I'm guessing that in that, sorry to quote you, so in that sense, just to get an idea, it's like you've been hit with this, that's going to be hard to deal with. But then you also know that by choosing your decision, you're going to be doing it not alone because of obviously family and stuff, but as a parent alone.
No, I didn't feel like that. I feel like he'd still be there.
Yeah.
But what I didn't think about was the emotional load that would have on him. Because
Got you.
For me as a woman, it's like I'm carrying that baby. And do you know what? When I first got pregnant, I didn't have this conversation with him, but I said to myself, and I made the commitment to myself, I was like, I'm going to go through with this pregnancy. Like, I'd had that conversation with him. He wanted to have the baby.
Yeah.
But I knew I was willing to have that child with or without him as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'd been through an abortion before, and we'd both agreed, like, we're never going through that again.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so traumatic.
Yeah.
We weren't willing to do that. But then we weren't expecting to have a sick child either.
Yeah.
But I made that decision that I was committed to having this baby, whether she was healthy or not.
Fair enough.
I think at that point I was just too far in my pregnancy. I was like, I can't, like, the guilt, not even just the guilt, it's just, what if she was fine? Like,
what if they got it wrong?
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's like, well, you've already experienced termination at an earlier date. Mm-hmm. So being that far into it.
No, that's trauma.
If that was traumatic, then
you can't just have pills with that. Like, no. I would have had to. That'd be like you'd have to birth.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, flipping out. And then Okay, so then fast forward a bit now to... Sorry, I'm just digesting what you said.
Yeah. I was talking to the specialist doctors.
Yeah.
And they sort of explained, like, hope life was a question mark.
Yeah.
And then gave me that option. But obviously I had to keep having appointments and meetings with them because as she grew, they were sort of just keeping an eye on what was going on, and I was having all these scans.
How often do you remember how often you would get,
I was having scans 4 to 5 times a week for the last 20 weeks of my pregnancy. So I was just a mess my whole pregnancy. I was so frustrated. Because I was having to travel to, I think it was Heartlands and the Women's.
Okay.
And at the time I lived in Sutton. So for me to get to Heartlands, like I wasn't driving at the time. And I'd have to sit there for hours waiting to be seen 4 to 5 times a week. Like I wanted to pull my hair out. And I was just so miserable. And I was just having these thoughts like, am I going to come here today and my child's passed away? Like, I was having all those thoughts.
I didn't even think about that because, obviously because I know what the outcome is, I never thought about there would be those moments of doubts as well. How difficult were those moments of doubts for you? Like, what sort of, I guess you could say intrusive thoughts did you have to deal with? I'm just going to check if the camera's still recording, by the way. Carry on.
Will it still pick it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
What was it like?
Just the doubtful thoughts that you would have had, just the dark thoughts, I guess, all in all.
Do you know what? I think...
If you can talk about it.
Obviously, I had those thoughts a lot, but...
Yeah.
I just used to cry it out a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I'd be reassured when I felt her move.
Yeah.
But if there was ever a time where she wasn't, like, moving...
Yeah.
I'd start playing Vibes Cartel.
And she'd start moving.
She'd start dancing in my belly. Like, that's my daughter. It wasn't a nice experience at all. And then, of course, like, I was a high-risk pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, there wasn't a lot I could do other than wait. But every time I met with those specialist doctors, it was just the most draining and... Yeah,
no, I can imagine.
Conversation.
No, I can imagine.
But I think one thing that really helped me was I used to talk to my aunt. I went to say arse then, but I was thinking about saying she's a nurse.
Yeah. Okay, I do that as well. Combine the two words that you're trying to think of.
She's a nurse, and she used to always tell me, like, Shan, they're doctors, they're going to tell you worst case scenario because they have to cover themselves.
Okay.
And that used to give me hope.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think my family were just so supportive because I feel like there was a lot of people who weren't supportive as well.
Yeah,
which
of course.
I used to listen to what they said. And it used to be the most daunting thing. But it did put a lot of strain on my relationships with people.
Of course. Yeah, naturally. Fast forward a bit to the day she came.
Mm-hmm.
How did... Yeah.
It was such a stressful day.
Again, if you can.
2022, 31st. Let me not say the month.
Okay.
Don't need to be dashing her birthday on the internet.
A whole identity out there.
Yeah. It was the hottest day of the year.
Yeah.
I just made that up. It was a hot day. And I was sweating, but I was booked in to be induced because I had to have...
Would they have done a cesarean for that? No.
I pushed her out. Early in my pregnancy, they were like, we might have to just take her out. And I was like, no, I'm pushing her out.
Yeah.
But if she was healthy enough throughout my pregnancy, like, they were like, you can do that.
Yeah. How many weeks pregnant were you when you had her?
41.
41?
Yeah. I got induced on this hottest day. And I sat there with my wires attached and I was doing TikToks. And I think it was just after COVID.
Yeah.
So my mom was allowed there till a certain time and then she had to go home.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't
Oh, that's rough.
allowed anyone in the room until I was about to push her out. So I've waited.
Even given the circumstances.
Yeah. So I've been put in this room with this other lady. She was like, I've been here for 5 days and I'm not staying in this room on my own for 5 days. But luckily, I think within an hour my water's broke and they were like,
okay.
in there. Finished doing my TikToks and I called my mum. She's not answering. I'm calling my daughter's dad.
No answer.
He's not answering.
Panic
And I'm
station.
like, no, don't do this, mate.
Yeah.
Both of them fell asleep and not hearing that, like.
Oh my days.
And I was like, you guys are the worst people on earth. I've called them about 10 times and not answering.
No answer.
No. So I've had to call my granddad.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you okay, Shan? I was like, no. Mom's not answering her phone. He's had to drive to my house. Like, they've got a key to the house. Go and wake my mum up, like, Gemma! Shan's in labour! Da-da-da. And eventually, like, my daughter's dad answered the phone and he came.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, I had a whole team of people waiting at the end, like, with their emergency bags because they weren't expecting her to.
Yeah.
She had to be taken away straight into NICU.
So, sorry, just to stop you a sec before you carry on, because I just thought about how. Yeah. So, you saw, after you gave birth to her, you saw the team that would have been there if things didn't go the way they went.
They were already there, yeah. They had to be there waiting with their little bags and I can't remember what they had. I was on gas and air, but yeah, I had a specialist team waiting to take her away.
No, I'm sorry you went through that, to be honest.
I know. Do you know what? It was my first experience, so I didn't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I'm sitting here saying that from the experiences I've had twice, and it's like the moments where I've felt anxiety and panic and worry, it's like that's nothing compared to what.
Yeah, I think when she was first born, she wasn't breathing, and I don't know what they did, but they did something to make her breathe.
Yeah.
But she did a silent cry, so obviously for me, I couldn't hear her,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
on
yeah.
gas and out, like out of it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
just
why
out of-
is
yeah,
she
yeah.
not crying?
Yeah,
Like, I was
yeah.
having a meltdown, and like I just remember my daughter's dad just being like, she's okay, like
Yeah.
I can see her, he's there recording her, like but I did get to briefly hold her before they took her away, which I didn't realise I'd held her till 6 months after.
What do you mean?
He had taken a picture of me holding her.
But you were was it because you were
gone,
out of
like,
it?
I was-
Yeah.
It was a long labour. I didn't know that I got to hold her.
How long were you in labour for, by the way? Roughly. Doesn't have to be like precise.
I think my labour started at like 10 p.m. and then I gave birth 10 a.m.
The following day. That's a long labour, yeah.
Is it?
That's wow.
I feel like it went really quickly though.
Yeah. It's kind of it could be longer, but yeah.
Always being a bit mischievous as well though, because obviously I think me and my daughter's dad hadn't been speaking.
Yeah.
And I could see he was falling to sleep. And I was like, every time a contraction came, I was like, grabbing him out of his sleep. So I was getting my kicks out of it.
Yeah.
So I was in pain. I was like,
Would you say that, just a quick question that I'm getting for context, obviously this is the first time I'm meeting you in person. Are you generally a positive person?
I'd like to say so.
Yeah.
Before I went through this situation, I was the light in any room that I went into. I was always the life of the party.
Yeah.
I was always just extremely extroverted and just
Yeah.
I was that person. So I'd like to say I'm positive.
Do you think that's changed now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like. When we get to that, I'll explain.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not. No,
Okay.
not that person anymore.
All right, carry on anyway. So, yeah, silent cry.
Yeah. She had a silent cry and she was taken away. And then I think a few hours later, they let me have a shower. My mum had to shower me, bless her. And they wheelchaired me down to meet my little girl. And I looked at her and we were like, oh. Because obviously she had her...
Yeah.
her partial missing arm. She had a little finger on the end of it.
Yeah.
And it's the cutest. Let me see. Oh, I'll show you just so you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see, but she just has one little finger.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no way.
And we were just like, throughout my whole pregnancy, it was okay, like, not that it was okay, but I could accept that she had this heart problem.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I was really struggling with was the fact that she had a physical disability that you could see.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, like, imagine going through school, like, all these thoughts were going through my head.
Yeah.
I was really struggling to accept it, but as soon as I laid eyes on her, and I was like, you're the cutest little thing ever, and she kept lying on her side, and she would stick her one finger in the air, do you know, like Usain Bolt does it?
Yeah.
She was doing that, and I was just like, I just fell in love with her. I was like, she's adorable.
And how has it been ever since then?
A whirlwind.
Yeah.
So when she was born, I think she stayed in NICU for 2 weeks.
What's NICU, by the way?
Neonatal.
Oh, okay. Intensive care unit?
Yeah, I would say. All the sick babies go.
Yeah.
And she was there for 2 weeks. And I think the hospital, they were like, you can stay in the hospital. And they took me up to, like, my little room. They put me on a ward with a mother, like all the mothers and their babies. And all I could hear was, like, just these moms with their... And I had to go downstairs in a wheelchair to go and see my daughter.
Yeah.
But I ended up just going home and travelling there every day for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's traumatising.
Yeah, of course. What, the fact of being around mothers that have... Yeah.
And I think when you give birth, like, you're in such an emotional state as well.
Yeah.
It was really difficult to hear that.
Yeah.
And I'm there trying to, like, express milk for my child. And no. But yeah, I used to go there first thing in the morning and I'd stay there all day.
Travelling from back and forth between...
Sutton, and she was born at Heartlands. Yeah. So it was hefty Uber money.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I used to just sit there all day, every day, and just watch her. They used to let me, like, change that. Even at first, they wouldn't let me hold her.
Yeah.
Because she had wires just going in her tummy, and I think I didn't get to hold her until she was 5 days old.
So you missed out on complete, like, skin to skin the first few...
Yeah, we didn't have any skin to skin. I got to try and breastfeed her.
Yeah.
But I think when I wasn't there, the nurses had been giving her bottles. So I didn't get to have that experience with her either. But I did keep trying, but she just wasn't having it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when she finally came home after 2 weeks... they transferred us to the children's hospital first.
Okay.
And they were like, you're going to be here for a while, she's going to need her operation.
Yeah.
Got to the children's hospital and they were like, she's stable, you can go home. And they were like, we'll give you an appointment and you'll come in. And I was told my whole pregnancy she's going to need immediate surgery.
Yeah.
And we went home and we stayed home for 9 months.
No one.
She was stable.
Yeah.
Yeah. She, but when you don't have the correct blood flow, they were just like, you'll see blueness.
Yeah.
Because you don't have
Yeah.
oxygen. And
Oh, so they told you signs to look out for. Yeah.
She didn't have any of it.
Yeah.
I think the only thing she really had was like mild recession, which is like, you can see her sucking it when she's breathing.
Okay, got you.
But that just became her norm. But yeah, I had her home until she was 9 months old. So I got to have some normal experiences, but we just went for hospital appointments.
Well, a lot of the time during, how often were you going every month? Would you say?
Yeah, I think it was monthly.
Just once a month? I say just once a month.
Yeah,
Was
it
it
might have
once a
been a
month?
bit more frequent. I can't quite remember. But yeah.
And then what was the next turning point from then?
So she had her first procedure at 3 months. That was a cardiac catheter. And that was basically, they put dye inside of her heart just to see like how it's
flowing
and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then they put her on the waiting list for her surgery, which was then 6 months later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When she was 9 months, and took her in. She had her surgery. Her surgery went really well. And
how long was she in for?
Oh, God.
Like the surgery? If you remember anyway.
I'd taken her in the night before, and I think she went down maybe like 8 a.m.
Okay.
She was one of the first to go down because she was so young. And I don't think she came out until like 7 on the night.
Oh, really?
So me and my daughter's dad had like went back to mine. We had a nap together. Like, I was just sobbing. Like, I was so anxious. He was sleeping away. Like, no carrying on. I was just, how are you doing that? I just needed reassurance. But I think we played a bit of Call of Duty. But yeah, it was the most anxious day I've ever had. But yeah, when we actually got to see her again.
Were you able to eat that day, by the way?
Can't remember.
Yeah.
But I know that I just had this
lump and just,
it was horrible.
Yeah.
And I knew my mum wouldn't really talk to me either, because I knew she was going
through it as well.
Anxious. Yeah, my whole family we're a very anxious family, like all the women. But yeah, when we finally got to go to the hospital and see her in intensive care, nothing that those doctors could have told me throughout my pregnancy, even though they made it seem like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Nothing could have prepared me for what it felt like looking at my child. That's just like, not even just my child, like my 9-month-old baby that just came out of this huge cardiac surgery. Operation. And I think when they're telling me about it in pregnancy, it was just words like pulmonary atresia, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
really
means.
hit. Yeah, it didn't really hit. Yeah.
These are just words to me. But then I looked at my daughter, and she just had this like strip of tape. Okay. And a sign on there saying chest open. And I looked at her, I was like, she's got all these wires, she's got a breathing tube, she's got chest drains in. It's like, my daughter's chest is open. It's not, because she's had such a serious procedure, it's like they need, if there's an emergency, they need to go straight in. They need that chest open, like. And bless her, she was, I've got pictures of her when she came out, like, it broke my heart. I know, I just sobbed. I really did. But yeah, I used to just sit by a bed, because obviously she was asleep for a good few weeks. I just used to sit there doing word searches. Yeah. I'd get there first thing in the morning. I'd stay there all day. Like, I just wouldn't move. I'd go to the vending machine and get a chocolate bar, and that's all I'd do. all day, every day.
And that went on for how long?
So her chest stayed open for a week. 5 days maybe. And they took her back in to close, or they took her wherever to close her chest.
Yeah.
Which meant a bit more stable.
Yeah.
And the day after, they had her on all sorts of medications. And there's one medication that keeps her asleep.
Okay.
And they started weaning that medication
off.
And me and my daughter's dad were sitting there watching them do it, and like throughout the day watching her like maybe
start moving a bit more. Okay, so throughout the
twitch,
week, so throughout that week she was like
she was
in induced coma essentially. Yeah.
And I think once it was like off, she opened her eyes and she looked at me and her dad, and she went into a cardiac arrest.
Do you want to pause? We can pause, Shan. Yeah.
2 seconds.
Yeah. Now we can pause.
Sorry. Yay! Whoop! There it is.
Wait for it. Yeah, cool.
Mic check.
Yeah, cool. We're back in. So,
We are.
quick break.
Sorry.
Nah, don't apologize. But you were saying you don't have to say it again.
Yeah, she had her cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And she was out for 4 minutes. And no word of a lie, that whole scenario was like a horror film.
Yeah.
And it was like, I could see the nurses like around her, like looking at each other, sort of to say like, and then one of them asked for like adrenaline.
Yeah. So what? As soon as that happened, was it like a thing where you had to inform them, or was there someone already monitoring?
No. So they obviously can't panic. So I had no idea what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there like looking at my daughter, and she just turns blue. And I see the nurse pull the buzzer. And when they pull that buzzer in the intensive care, there's about 30 odd beds. Everyone drops, and it's like a stampede of elephants.
Yeah.
And I hear someone shout, CPR! And I literally dropped to the floor like a movie, and I screamed the place down. And I have like my daughter's dad like trying to pick me up, like they shut the curtains.
Yeah.
And I just saw my daughter lying there blue, like bless her. And yeah, they worked on her for 4 minutes. There was one nurse talking to us. She's trying to listen to what's going on. They're doing CPR on her.
Yeah.
And she's trying to calm me down, and I'm just there screaming like a horror movie. And they stabilised her. Can't really remember how I felt after that happened.
Yeah.
I think I must have just been in shock. But yeah, from then I was just like, I've got to be here all the time.
Yeah.
And I was there morning to evening every single day. And we were in intensive care for 6 months. But yeah, day in, day out I was there. So she had a cardiac arrest, and she got a bit better. I think she eventually woke up, and she was just playing. She was a little baby, just playing around. Like,
nothing's happened.
She was the only baby that was pretty much active all the time.
Oh, really?
Because in intensive care, a lot of them are sedated.
Yeah.
And she was just, she'd play with toys.
Active, yeah.
But because of her arm, she didn't have she didn't use her arms, she used to use her feet.
Oh, swear.
So she'd pick up like her rattles with her feet.
Yeah,
like, she'd
yeah,
do
yeah.
everything with her feet, and everyone was just mesmerised by her. But yeah, we were there for a long time, saw a lot of stuff, but we were still in intensive care, so we were seeing all these sick people around us. And every time, obviously, the units split up. You have like your general side, long-term side, and then cardiac, which is what she was, because she had the cardiac issues. So a lot of people are coming in every day, like from surgeries. Every time someone's buzzer got pulled, which could be happening like multiple times a day, like I would have a panic attack every single time because I was just triggered. But I had to carry on every day thinking like, what's going to happen today? Like, is she going to be okay? Like, because she was just unstable for such a long time. And I was on my own majority of the time, and it was just
tough.
It was stressful. But yeah, she was cute.
How did you manage to find the strength to keep going, do you know?
I had to. Like, when you're a mom, although like children have moms and dads, I think moms are just built different. Like, I had that innate response. I had to be there every single day. And it's just like, sometimes I'm watching children die.
Serious?
Yeah, I've seen a few kids die. There was one baby that was next to us, and his parents hadn't been there for a week. And then one day he just had a cardiac arrest, and he was gone, and he was the bed next to us. And I sobbed all day. He was 6 months old, and it was just the most heartbreaking thing. But I was already there every day, but when I'm seeing those things, I was like, there's not a second I'm not going to be here unless I'm sleeping. And I think for the first 2 months I lived at the hospital. They gave me like accommodation there.
Oh, really?
So I'd just walk across to her. But I just got so lonely because obviously my mum's at home. My daughter's dad wasn't there consistently. And I wanted to go back home and just be with my family. So I travelled there every day, which again, Ubers. I think for the first 6 months or so, I was getting Ubers every day. And that just obviously cost me a fortune. But once I started driving, it was parking.
Parking was a problem. It's mental. Forget about it.
But
forget about it.
Yeah, I started doing that every day. And then once she left intensive care, we were in complex care for another 6 months. So we were in hospital for a year. But once she left intensive care, it was a little bit more fun. I've missed a massive bit.
Which?
So when she was in intensive care, she had a breathing tube, and when they take that out, sorry, a massive part of her condition. I've only spoken about cardiac. They kept failing, and she just wouldn't breathe on her own. Like, they'd put her on like a mask, CPAP, like all these different things, and she was failing everything. They sent us back to a ward for a week, and with I think just Airvo, which is like they blow air. And I was like, something's wrong with her. And we were there for a week, and I kept saying to them, something's wrong, they're ignoring me. And it wasn't until one of the doctors from intensive care was doing like rounds, and they were like, what's wrong with your child? I was like, I've been trying to tell them like something's wrong. And they took her back down, and she had a breathing tube again, kept failing, and it took 3 months for them to find out that she had bronchomalacia. 3 months, just and she also had tracheal stenosis, which is scar tissue in her trachea from how many times they put the tube in and out. It makes scar tissue. So the last time she had the tube, she had a 2.5 tube, which is about that small. So that's how small her airway was.
Yeah.
So it wasn't stable. Oh my God, at that time, they were just like, we need to do something about this.
Yeah.
If we don't, something's going to happen again.
Yeah.
I was on my own. Her dad had gone to Napa for 2 months.
Yeah.
My mum's at work, and they were like, we need to do an emergency surgery, and we're going to have to give her a tracheostomy.
Which is...
A tracheostomy is a permanent tube that they put in
her throat.
Yeah, so for us, we breathe through our mouth and her nose.
Yeah.
They're going to completely obstruct that and give her own airway through a ventilator.
Yeah.
And they made it seem like the worst thing on earth. They were like, we don't know how long she's going to be here for. She could be here for another year or 2.
Yeah.
She's going to have this for years. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to be here for another year or 2. Like, at this hospital, it was the worst thing ever. But she had that surgery. I was there on my own, being a brave mummy, like, watch it. Obviously, every time she was sedated and taken into surgery, I got to go with her and hold her and just watch her go to sleep.
Yeah. Because
obviously there's a risk with how many times you have anaesthetic and stuff like that. So it's just in the back of my mind, I'm always having the thought of, is this the last time? Like, you never know.
Yeah.
I always had that mindset in hospital because I knew how unstable she was. But yeah, she had her trachea and she came out with this tube in her throat. And I think she might have been sedated for a little bit, but she was fine. She's just there playing away.
Yeah.
And she just piled all this weight on. Because what we didn't realise is when she's struggling to breathe, she's not putting as much weight on, like she's struggling.
Oh, okay.
We upped her calories with her milk and stuff.
Yeah.
And as soon as she had this trachea and she's not struggling anymore,
she
just went so
sized
chubby.
up. Yeah.
But she thrived once she had her tracheostomy, and that's just a part of her now.
Yeah.
A week after she had it, I started my training.
To have her at home.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
And it took me 6 months to complete that because she was still in intensive care. So she was still having procedures in between. I think then in like the October, she was stable enough. They were like, you don't need to be here. You can go to complex care.
Yeah.
And that ward, it's all trachea children, and you're all long term.
Yeah.
And you get to know everyone, and it was all trachea people from different ages, but you get to know the mums, and it's a big family in there, which was lovely. But I got to see my daughter just develop, and I was doing my training. My mum, there had to be 2 people trained for her to come home. So my mum, bless her, did her training. She'd go to work all day, come up, have her training. Took her months to do hers as well. But we got it done, and then we became her medical pros. And then finally this year, on my birthday actually.
Oh, really?
I had a meeting and they were like, we've got your discharge date. And they told me on my birthday, and I sobbed my little heart. I was like, this is the best birthday. 'Cause I was spending my birthday at the hospital.
Yeah.
And it was the best birthday present ever. But yeah, she came home. And now my house is a hospital.
Yeah.
She has a care team. Has a little ventilator at home. My living room is now her bedroom.
Yeah.
So she has a big like hospital bed and all the equipment. But yeah, we have a home.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have it any other way.
No, like it's hard work, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather have her here than anywhere else.
No, 100%. And that's so. Hold on, just for context, this journey started when you were 22.
I got pregnant at 21.
21.
Yeah.
Gave birth at 22. And then this has been the journey since. And you know how you said that you had to do training. how does that work? How do they know when you're competent? Basically, that's what I'm trying to ask.
So there's different things you have to be competent in. So with her tracheostomy, you have to train to take that tube in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to do that a certain amount of times to be competent. My mum had to do it a certain amount of times. You also have to learn how to change her tapes, which we have to do every day. Like my mum at home will do it. Her tubes we had to do in hospital like every 2 weeks, I think it was, or every week. Now at home we only have to do it monthly. We had to learn the ventilator. What else? We had to learn basic life saving. So I'm now a pro on doing CPR. But doing CPR on a normal person, doing CPR on someone with a tracheostomy are two completely different things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's like she doesn't use her mouth. We have this hole in her throat that we have to work with. But yeah, we did all of our training. It took months and months and months, but we got it done. Gobsmacked, I know.
Yeah. Genuinely I am. I'm just like...
Do you know what though? Before we went into hospital, I don't think it ever crossed my mind that there was children in hospital fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
And when we got there, I'd just seen so many children die. I know it sounds morbid, but it's like I noticed a pattern that a lot of people we were put next to passed away, and I had to watch it and hear about it, and you see those children every day, and it's just like it breaks your heart completely.
Would that say at any point that sort of changed? Well, did that affect your hope?
Yeah, I always thought what's going to happen tomorrow. You always have that in the back of your mind, but I've met so many amazing people. Like even one of my closest friends now, I met her at the hospital. My best friend called me one day and she was like, Shan, like my friend's in hospital, like her little boy, something's wrong with him. Like, she doesn't have any family. Like, can you go and do you guys want to talk to each other? We met up that same day, and her story is so amazing. Like, you need to talk to her anyway. But her little boy ended up passing away, and he had brain cancer, and he went for his surgery for a biopsy, and went straight into a coma afterwards, and ended up passing away. But she didn't have family. She didn't have that support, so I felt like I had to be there for her. And I absolutely, like, she was just such a good beacon for me, and like Kiani as well, because despite what she had going on, she still came and sat with us.
Oh, really?
And even after her little boy passed away, she'd bring her daughter in and come and sit with us in the hospital. So she's knowing that we've both been through that together. And it's like, even with Kiani in hospital, I went to the funeral with her, and it's just, we've became
tied for life.
You can't make those experiences up. Like, you just have a different viewpoint on the world. Like, I had so many friends before we went into hospital, and whilst we were there, 3 people came and visited us.
Oh, really?
3.
Now they say, if you want to see who they do say, look, if you want to see who your real friends are, have kids, and there's some other stuff as well. But having kids is one of them.
I realised how inconsiderate people were. Like, these same other people that were my friends was like, Shan, do you want to come clubbing tonight? Like, what? Like, my daughter's, it was, I think I went once.
These same people that hadn't came to check. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think I'd went out with them once. Like, my mum was like, "You should watch Shan, just go and like relax."
You need a break.
I ended up just downing shots, and I ended up in paramedics. Like,
I was gonna
crying,
say that
like,
wouldn't.
My daughter, like, it was the worst mistake I ever made.
Yeah.
But then I realised, oh my god, these people actually aren't my friends. Like, what? I needed to find a better
group
support system. Because that just wasn't it. And it's like, I didn't really have my daughter's dad I had my family, obviously, but there's a difference between your family and like your friends. But then those 3 people that actually came, I spoke to them, and my best friend, like, she's literally a dream. Like, she's the best person ever. But she has literally helped me through differently.
Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how, at the age of 22 up till 24, you've had this war. Like, yeah. Like,
do you know what?
And even how you are now and the way you tell the story, it's like you just you're laughing and happy and positive. And obviously, besides that one break, it's like generally on the whole, I've been literally watching you this whole time telling the story, and I'm thinking like,
this is actually trauma.
This is traumatic, but she's just smiling about it. Like,
I told you before we started this, I was like, I've lived 100 lives.
Yeah, you did.
But
you did.
Do you know what? Me and my friend whose little boy passed away in the hospital, I think both of us have traumatic stories, like childhood, like da-da-da-da. And I genuinely think people have a purpose in life. And I feel like, for me especially, like, I've been through all that. Mm-hmm. And I used to be like, why me? Like, why is this happening? And it was for this reason, because if I hadn't been through all that and dealt with all of that, I would not have been strong enough to deal with this. Yeah. Like, there's days when I genuinely just didn't want to wake up. Like, it got low, but I have a little daughter, and when I used to get there in the morning, she'd get so excited. She'd get aroused and she'd be like, but it's like, once she had her trachea, she became non-vocal. So she can't speak, she can't make noise, she can't cry.
Or even now?
No. So,
could that ever change in the future?
It could, when we don't know it right now. But as she grows bigger, there's a possibility that she could learn to make sounds. But right now, we're trying to do one-handed sign language. But she has her way of communicating. Like, she like drags me up and will say, "Do you want a drink?" But she communicates a lot through music as well.
Oh, really?
But her dad's a musician, so it makes
sense.
True,
makes sense.
But she has her favourite songs, and she loves doing like the actions to songs and stuff. But she has so much personality, and she's such a happy girl. And going back to when I was pregnant, and I was given that not opportunity, but that decision to make, do I want to carry on or I can terminate? I made the right decision, because I see how happy she is. I see how strong she is. And it's like, even though she's got these challenges, like, the potential she has for the future to go and make a statement about, you can have all this going on, but look what I'm doing. I just know, like, I think her dad does like bodybuilding. I just know he's gonna have her doing one-handed, like,
curls.
Like, she's gonna be someone amazing, and she's just got so much personality. And she's got 2 like strong parents, and she's just gonna be the product. Like, she's gonna.
I do agree with you when you say that whole everyone's got a purpose thing. And obviously, I was going to ask at some point in the conversation what you feel like your purpose is, answered for itself. But what I was going to say, people have a purpose. Yeah. As soon as I saw like just the little bits and bobs, I thought, this might sound a bit odd, but it's just the way my mind thinks. I thought, why did God choose her to have to go through that battle? Like, why her? And that's what I wanted to find out. It's like, because, you know, they say, are you religious at all? A little bit.
I'm baptised as Catholic. I wouldn't say I'm actively following my religion. I'd like to believe there's a higher power. But I just don't think a higher power would do that to my child.
I get you. I mean? I get what you mean. So I get that complex, to be fair. I just thought, why you? And that's what I wanted to find out. And it's like, with sitting down with you now and hearing how you're saying it and how resilient you've been within telling the story, it's like, this is why. Because you can handle it.
Yeah.
Genuinely, you can handle it.
I can handle it. I can handle it.
Yeah, you definitely can. Like, yeah. I'm looking at all the other questions that I had, and it's just like, what? Throw
them at me.
What? Okay. Bad days versus good days.
With my day-to-day life?
Yeah. And your daughter, how does that look? You can carry on whilst I go and check if it's still...
Yeah. I haven't had a bad day with her since we've been in hospital.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, like, I have no reason. My mindset's changed. Going through all of that whilst in hospital is my tolerance levels for shallow things went to an all-time low.
Okay.
So my friends used to complain to me about boys and girls and just shallow things. And I literally used to say, shut the...
Yeah.
I've watched my daughter die in front of me.
Yeah.
Like, there's more important things. Like, I don't want to say I'm less empathetic towards people, but it's just like, get your shit together. Like, come on.
Nah, like I completely get that, because you've had a very early reality check in life where it's like, I get it, because it's took me a while to get there, but it's like, does, like, in the grand scheme of things, how deep is the situation with that boy? How deep is, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, when you've had your heart played about with the way you have, it's, everything else is just irrelevant.
It is, like, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, my main priority now is going on the road to getting her healthy.
Yeah.
If we can get there one day.
Yeah.
That future's still unknown.
Yeah.
But seeing how strong she is every single day and how much she makes us laugh and smile and how, like, she's gonna be fine. Like, I just know she is.
Yeah.
But I feel like as parents, we just know.
No.
We just know, like, they're gonna be okay, or they're not gonna be okay. Like, I've been around people, and before it happened, they knew their child wasn't gonna, like, they just knew.
Yeah.
So I feel like a mother's intuition, like, my daughter's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
She's good. She's in good hands.
Yeah. So, with good days, how did they look with her?
Usually when we get the chance to go on a day out, because there needs to be two of us to take her out. Because,
all the time?
Yeah, because she's high dependency. She needs someone looking at her 24/7. So I can't be driving and caring for her at the same time. She needs suctioning. Like, oh my God, she likes to pull her vent off and swing it in the air. She likes to blow the air on her face as a fan. She likes to put it in her mouth. Like, she thinks life's a joke. So someone needs to be there all the time. So my mum works during the week, so weekdays are a no-go for us. So we try and find things to do around the house. I bought a big 4-foot fish tank, and I've now got the cast of Nemo in my tank.
In your whole tank?
Yeah, it's not the cheapest hobby to have, but it was a project. Like, I got this tank secondhand, and I've painted it. I bought all my equipment.
Oh, so you refurbished it and then filled it up and everything?
Because I was like, I need something to do in the week with her. Like, I'm pulling my hair out.
Something to keep you occupied, I guess,
Because I've never been someone that can just sit in the house all day. Like, even in my past relationship, like, when we're just sitting there, like, watching TV, I used to get so frustrated.
Agitated,
like, I need to go and do something.
Like,
I can't just be in the same room or the same house. Like, I
need
to go out and get active and do stuff. But yeah, that's our little project. She loves looking at the fishies.
Carry on, sorry.
But yeah, when my mum's not working, we go out on the weekends and take her for days out. But yeah, bad days when we have to go back into hospital for procedures. Yeah.
She's still getting regular procedures now.
Yeah.
How often is that at the moment?
So she's got another procedure coming up to put the dye in again.
Yeah.
Because she needs to have her second heart surgery soon.
Okay.
To close the hole. And the surgery she had last year, she's going to have to keep getting that redone as she outgrows it.
I swear.
Because they're hoping that in the future her natural tissues will grow.
Yeah.
But she's just got a little tube in there for now. She's got to have her eyes surgery.
Yeah.
And then obviously her tracheostomy will be there for a few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just going to be in and out of hospital for the foreseeable future. I just can't wait for the day they tell me, do you know what, she can go on a flight.
Yeah.
Her oxygen's too low. But yeah.
Yeah. So because you're very limited at the moment.
Yeah, can't do a lot at all. We have to take her vent, but we have to take a spare vent.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere we go, we have to take oxygen with us. We have to take suction. We have to take a whole just collection of things. Like
Yeah.
About to go camping.
Yeah. Would you say that? Would you still? I'm trying to think if this is an okay question, I guess. But would you have another child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, especially nurses, I used to have this conversation all the time. They were like, does this put you off having more children?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because realistically, my first child has been worst case scenario.
So the next one's going to be a breeze.
A breeze?
Yeah,
like, can you
yeah.
imagine having a healthy child
Yeah,
after
yeah.
this? I'd be like, oh. But I used to, when she was in hospital, I'd go out in the streets and I'd see women like moaning at their children for being naughty and for crying. And I used to just think, like, you're so ungrateful. Like, I'd do anything to hear my child cry.
Yeah.
And it's just like, when I actually have another baby and they cry, I
Yeah.
like, yes, you're crying. Like, I'll be so grateful. But I've always wanted a big family. Like, I want loads of children. I love babies.
What's the maximum?
5.
If there is one, 5. Yeah.
I love babies. I love them.
No, I'm glad to hear that it hasn't ruined that for you.
But do you know what I said to her? I was like, do you want a brother or sister? She went,
Yeah.
So I was like, see?
Yeah.
My mum would kill me.
Going back to, this is one thing I wanted to remember to ask, but going back to how you said it's changed you from, you were extroverted and then, how did that?
I can't go out. Like, I used to love going out with my friends.
Yeah.
But when I'm out, all I'm thinking about is my daughter. And it's just she has carers at night time and then my mum there as well. But I'm constantly checking my phone, like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
I can't just let loose and have fun anymore.
Yeah.
She's just centre of my mind 24/7. My day is her start to finish. I go to the gym when she's asleep. I go to sleep and then repeat. I don't do anything else anymore.
How are you managing? Like
the gym?
Or are you, the gym's helping? Massive help.
Seeing me add an extra weight onto leg press is a bit of motivation for me every day. I'm trying to stay creative and just do stuff at my artwork and stuff at home, but I don't have a social life anymore. My friends, like I got 2 friends that will come and visit me at the house. Like, I'm a bit funny with letting people in my house, but I don't really do much. I just go to the gym every day with my best friend, and we have our pre-gym debriefs with our pre-workouts, and then have to spend like an hour just talking in the car. But don't do much else.
Sorry, I know I've said this, but it's so
a different world, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know,
even when you're saying, like, there's a hospital full of children that have trachees, it's like, I didn't know that existed. I would have thought they would just mix and blend them with.
In intensive care, it's mixed. Obviously, when she had her trachea put in, we then went on to the long-term side. But there is a ward just for trachea, ventilated patients.
You've seen a whole different world that a lot of people won't.
Yeah,
won't
you don't
know
even think
exists.
about it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I would have walked the street, saw someone with a trachea and thought, what's that?
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, like I went to my first primary school. There was a girl who had a trachea.
Yeah.
Didn't know what it was in year one.
Yeah,
I used to look
yeah.
at her like, why she got that? Like, why she talk funny?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh my God, I wish I was in contact with her because I have so many questions. Like,
Got you. Like as to how she carried on with.
she used to come to school. She had a carer with her. Now it makes sense. Like, I know what she must have been through, and her mom, like, wow. Yeah.
What would you say is yes. Honestly, this is the first time. I know I've only done 3 of these, but this is the first time.
Leaving people speechless.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I try not to refer back to my phone and look at questions, but you've just absolutely spun my head.
Don't worry.
What would you say is the biggest thing you've learned from this experience with your daughter?
Life's short. To make the most out of it. Don't take people for granted.
Yeah.
And I'm a strong ass woman.
Yeah, you are. Now you are.
I will never have like a depressed day ever again. Like, I've got my little girl to make me smile. No. What else have I learnt? Time is your biggest healer.
Yeah.
Just gotta give it time.
Yeah. Again, I was picking the 2 things you just said, that and life is short. I was saying to my friend earlier that, I think I was even saying to my friend and my partner, but people say life is short, but you do get a lot of time, and you get so much time because there's some shit you're going to go through that you need to get over.
Yeah.
And you're going to need time for that before you can find yourself back on your 2 feet properly. So
a lot of people have asked me, like, do you have therapy? Like, one woman, oh my gosh, she just commented on my Instagram. I don't know how she found me, but she was like, oh my God, I remember you from intensive care.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh wow, like, what did I didn't remember her, bless her, but she was like, I've got therapy, it's helped so much with the PTSD.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, therapy? I didn't even have time for that. Because I was in hospital for a year, and we came home, and she takes up my whole day. Like, I don't even have the time to go and do therapy. Like,
could you not do over video call or anything?
I don't know. Possibly, but then
Give
it's
it a
like,
try.
how do you explain this to someone? Like,
The thing is, because I've started it myself, I'm on my 2nd session, and I do it through video. They will sort of ask, and it's the only thing I say is a bit awkward is you might not feel vulnerable in that time. So a lot of the things that you want to say won't come to mind, but you've always got another session to sort of.
Do you know what though? I want one of those people that you can just talk to, because I think I had CBT before. And I hated that because he used to make me do homework, and we just used to talk about rumination. I'm thinking like, this is boring. This reminds me of school, which is where a lot of my trauma came from.
I had that,
I hated it. But I actually met a guy at the gym, and he does clinical psychology. He's just doing his master's in it. And we were talking, and I just started throwing out rumination to him. He was like, how do you know about all this? Like, but I did A-level psychology as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was just saying how much I hated the fact that they give us homework.
It
just did not work for me at all. It seemed like a chore.
I
just didn't want to do the next session.
That was like my experience with my first therapist years ago. It was just like, I have to work on myself in my own time, but this feels like it's adding weight onto my life as well, as opposed to lifting the burden, I guess. So I completely get that, to be fair, but I don't know. Definitely just try video one, see how that goes, and navigate from there. Because I don't know if you're anything like me, I always envisioned doing it in person because I'm very much in person.
I want to, do you know, like in the TV programs, you see them just lying on a couch. Just
express it.
Just talk and cry. Just let it out.
Nah, I hear it. I was gonna ask again, only if you feel comfortable with saying, what situations would you say built you up for this prior?
Probably my situations I've been through with like my parents at a young age. Like, my dad was quite abusive towards my mum. Had a lot of drug issues. So I had to deal with that, and just I had a really hard time at school stuff.
What in terms of like, you specifically had a hard time?
Yeah,
like people gave you a hard time, or
not even that. I think my mental health wasn't the greatest when I was in school. Suffered a lot with like depression and anxiety, self-harming, that kind of thing, which is why I ended up having my CBT. So having to get yourself out of that as well, and just whilst you're trying to adjust into the world, it was a difficult thing for me to go through. But I haven't actually had much like time to chill in life. I don't think I haven't had much like adult life at all. I just got thrown in the deep end, I think, from the get-go.
I was not prepared.
I should write a book.
You
like,
should write
people
a book.
keep telling me this, but I wouldn't know where to start. It's like
it's the journey you've been on, to say the least, is remarkable, and what I rate so much more is who you are as a person today and how you are as a person today. Like, you haven't let any of this BS that you went through, like, of course, it's changed you. You're not socially active as much, but obviously that's within reason, because it's like your priorities have changed now. It's not necessarily a case of, I don't necessarily see that as you've changed, it's just your priorities have changed. You, of course, naturally, and so in that sense, I was saying you haven't let it define you, completely mold you. Like, a lot of people, this would have broke. A lot. Like, and even just hearing you saying what you were saying, knowing that I've got, and I don't mean this to sound any insensitive way, I'm just keeping it real with you, knowing that I've got my 2 healthy children at home. I just, you're saying what you're saying, and I just feel like, I just want to see my kids now. I just want to hug them. Like, I just want to play with you for like an hour, 2 hours, because you've met, what you've said now has just made me realise, like, you've been taking it for granted. Like, you have been taking it for granted, and you haven't realised, but because, I work and then get home, I'm tired, daddy, can I play? And I'm just thinking...
Do you know what, though? Even looking back at before she went into hospital for her surgery, I think about the time she was waking me up at 3 a.m. for a bottle. I was thinking, like, did I ever have the thought where it's like, oh my God, please stop crying? Like, And it's just... I think because I knew her surgery was coming up, I consciously said to myself, Shan, spend every second with her. And I'm so glad that I did that. And made everything fun with us. And I think the day before, was it the day before she went in? Me and my little sister put the TV on at like just before bedtime. We put music on and we had a little dance party together. And it was just like a little sending off. Like, my sister thought she was just having a well of a time by herself, but it was just nice for me. I was like, Kiana's looking at you like, what's she doing? It was just nice to have that. But the thought of us having to go through again, I don't know how I'm going to do it.
No, of course.
I think at least I can go in mentally. I can mentally prepare myself
to an extent, and
I know what I'm expecting. And I've been through it on my own already. Do it again.
No, 100%. 100,000%. We can. I know I probably haven't asked you half the questions that I sent you, but it's like, this has went a way that I didn't think it was going to get. Like,
don't worry.
Like early days of modelling, shooting with Bugsy and Simba, and it's like, I don't care anymore. Like, what you've just I don't care about that anymore. What you've just said now is just, that is a lot to... I
don't care about modelling either. Like, I get asked to do shoots, I'm just like, the money's not even worth it. I don't care.
Would you say, okay, so these last 2 things I'll ask, the first one's a shorter one. Would you say there was a role model, mother figure for you, whether it be your mum or someone else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely my mom.
Definitely your mum.
Because it's like I've had to watch her raise me
Mm-hmm.
and my sister. And
Yeah.
me knowing the things she's been through and that I've had to witness
Yeah.
as a child.
Yeah.
And to see her still wake up every day.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
she's
yeah.
got her own struggles.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
her
yeah.
own traumas. Like, she still makes it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, me and my sister have never been without. Like,
Yeah.
even if she's struggling, like, she would give her last pennies to make sure we had what we needed. And
Yeah.
I rate her for that. I just hope she finds her happiness and her peace in the future as well.
And I hope the same for you as well, to be fair. I really do. And the last question, which is something that I like to sort of, and I always have to explain it, but so I like to see things as you're in your present self, but you're also someone's future. If that makes sense. So a little girl might find herself in your position or worse off, or do you get what I'm saying? So what would, with that in mind, what's a message that you'd put out there in hopes that they come across this podcast and hear your story and use you for inspiration to keep going?
Just to keep going.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, our children need us. And I think when you have a sick child, they tell you, like, even when you've got a healthy child, they always say to mothers, like, don't cry around your baby. Like, your baby can feel everything. And I think especially when your child's sick and they're healing after a surgery, they may not be awake and conscious, but they can certainly feel your presence.
Yeah.
Your emotions. Them feeling you know, my mum's happy and she's here and she's strong. They can feel that.
Yeah.
And it helps them heal.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big part of it as well. Like, my daughter could never ever say, do you know what, my mum wasn't there. Like, she could never say that. I was there every single day without fail. Like, rain or shine, like in the snow.
Yeah.
Going there, like.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. I was there every single day, all day, every day, making sure she had everything she needed. And I'll continue to do that through all of her surgeries and every time she's in hospital. And I think I'm just very sensitive to these things now, especially. Do you know when you see like those little videos of kids when they're at like their school productions?
Yeah.
And don't see their parent.
Oh, yeah.
Like, stuff like that
Yeah,
makes me cry.
Yeah,
like, I'll be there for absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care what I have to sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go home. I'm probably gonna think about this for the next like week or two.
Yeah.
And in the most respectful way ever, your story is gonna push me to be a better dad.
Oh, I love that.
And yeah, because I don't spend enough time. You get caught with the rat race. You get caught up with the rat race, and it's like being tired becomes an excuse. And obviously, when you live with them as well, it's a bit easy to just sort of, well, I'm here, innit? But it's like, yeah, you can be here, but
do you know what's really important as well? Just engaging.
Yeah.
How many times are you there, sat on your phone?
That's one thing I consciously don't do. That's one thing I try to consciously not do, because I don't want you to.
That a lot.
Yeah, I don't ever want my daughter to look at me while she's trying to tell me something and see how, because I hate when people do it to me.
Yeah.
If someone's talking to me, I'm not on my phone. Like, I have done it now, obviously, because I'm checking where I'm at with questions, but outside of that, it's just like, it's rude, man. It's so rude. It's so rude.
Yeah. I do. I think about the amount of times I was with my ex. He used to be like, Shan, just get off your phone. You're always on your phone.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was just a teenager, wasn't I? Like.
Yeah.
But I do hear it now.
You get it now, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. And especially for my child, like, I just want her to have my attention. And
100%. Yeah, nah, honestly, Shan, thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
Thank you
to
for
come and tell
having
your story.
me.
Nah, it's been, and I genuinely hope this reaches the right people or person that needs it, even if it's just one.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? You are more than an exceptional mother, should I say?
Thank you.
I look at you and I don't doubt why God gave you this. Yeah, like I said, you are equipped to take this fight on. Like, and I hope, and And I genuinely will pray that this journey gets easier and happier and lighter for you. Yeah.
One day. We'll get there.
One day.
We'll get there.
But yeah, we can wrap it up there.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Honestly.